Well, let's move on now because there has been a win for free speech and common sense overnight. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has announced it will end fact-checking across all platforms. The fact-checking program, which began back in December 2016, will be replaced on Facebook, Instagram and Threads by a community notes feature. Seen that one before on X. Joining me now is Sky News host Liz Storer. Liz, surely this is the Donald Trump effect at work already.
Well, it clearly is, but you've got to laugh because what we have here, Danica, is the guy who's insisted that Facebook isn't censoring free speech, now coming out and promising that Facebook will now cease to censor free speech. So I'm taking everything with a cup of salt here. But two things. Firstly, this doesn't apply to Australia. This is being rolled out in the coming months in the US only, so sorry news for us. You'd think that they would just do this across their platforms. Secondly, what Zuckerberg has done here is thrown the fact checkers he employs under the bus, saying, look, we're not going to do fact checking this way anymore because we think that they are politically biased and we want to stop that from happening. Well, the comedy keeps coming. It writes itself these days because then the New York Times, no sooner had he said this, the New York Times came out with an article quoting the actual fact checkers who had fact checked this statement from Zuckerberg saying, hang on a minute, we had nothing to do with, we had no say regarding what you did with the information that we fact-checked. So we do the fact-checking as we're employed to do. You're the one who is ripping stuff down and censoring things as you saw fit. We also need to remind ourselves that this is the same Zuckerberg who just months ago apologised to the world for election interference. He outright admitted he had colluded with the Biden administration when they would write little memos to him saying, please censor this, please take that down, please tell everyone that the Russian collusion hoax is real, etc. and so on. He ran with an agenda without fact-checking those claims, and now we're supposed to believe that this is all hunky-dory. It certainly appears to be a move in the right direction, but it's a bit too early for me to get too excited.
No, I agree. I think it's too early to get excited. It's a complete capitulation, that's for sure. However, I just think it's only because of Donald Trump. It's only because there's a change in administration and they're all panicking now as they should be. But I mean, what does it mean for us here back home? Because we've got Anthony Albanese persisting with this social media ban for under 16s. Meanwhile, the world is going, no, let's actually give online platforms the freedom of speech. We are once again here in Australia, Liz, complete outliers to the rest of the world.
Oh, but here in Australia, Danica, we have the world first in our e-safety commissioner.
Oh, the czar.
The czar. So this is something that our government, not our people, have prided itself on for years. And we know the e-safety commissioner was the brainchild of a coalition government, not the Labor government. Here's hoping, all fingers and toes crossed, that this, even the ban on under 16s will be thrown out the window if and when we see a Liberal government take charge.
Well, they support it. This is the problem. They
do support it, but again, with the turning of the tide that we are seeing by the platforms themselves, they are flexing. We know the e-safety commissioner has been very unsuccessful in her cases against X, which she used to be employed by. I just don't know that this is ever going to get up, and as everybody already knows, I think that's a good thing because it's got nothing to do with protecting kids. They've done nothing about that for years and years, despite knowing it's a grave problem. It's got everything to do with the fact that you're going to have to prove your ID, you and me, because if you're proving to any of these platforms that you're over 16, then that's you and I in order to get on and use these same platforms.
Absolutely.
It's got everything to do with digital ID.
And who knows what's going to happen with all of that information? Where are they going to store it? Who's going to have access to that? That is my concern about this.
It is simply not a coincidence that just 2 weeks after they passed their digital ID bill here in Australia, they decided that, it's a massive concern, the toll that social media is taking on children. Do me a favour.
Now, look, we are almost out of time, but very quickly, a last-ditch appeal by Donald Trump to halt this week's sentencing for hush money that criminal conviction. It's been denied. The president-elect's lawyers were unable to convince the appeals court to shut down sentencing. Liz, this really is a sham now, isn't it?
It really is. And yet the judges simply said, look, let's get this out of the way on Friday. Obviously, if it doesn't happen before Trump's inauguration, it will be put off till after he's not president anymore, after which everyone will really not care for it at all. So his lawyers, though, are going to continue to do everything they can to stave off this sentencing hearing on Friday. So we still don't know whether it will actually go ahead. Obviously, being Trump, you've got the best lawyers in the land. But this 502-page filing that they tried on to get out of this time was unsuccessful. Let's see what else they've got in their hat before Friday.
Let's see, but it's just a sham now. In the end, this guy's going to be president of the United States, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, the only question is whether he'll be the first felon sworn in, convicted felon
we'll
to
find
be
out
sworn
soon. Liz,
in.
we've got to go. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening.